Well, blessed Monday to you as we come with your weekly or daily, I should say, encouragement. And this is the week of Christmas, so we're going to have two verses left in First Peter to study, and then we're going to go headlong into Christmas stuff next couple days. But today we're going to have a little bit of multiple things going on. First of all, we're going to have two verses from First Peter 5, and that's going to be verses 8 through 9. It says, "Discipline yourselves, keep alert. Like a roaring lion, your adversary, the devil, prowls along looking for someone to devour. Resist him, steadfast in your faith, for you know that your brothers and sisters in all the world are undergoing the same kind of suffering." Now, that's a great verse, and that's one that is kind of springboarding into the person I'd like to talk about. His name, and I'm sure you have never heard of him, he is a new saint in the Catholic Church, but he has been a patron saint of the people of Iceland. And his name is Saint Thorlak, and his day of celebration is today, December 23rd, and so it gets tied in to Christmas. But what made St. Thorlak, at least for the people of Iceland and the Faroe Islands, you can look those up into the map. I know you know where Iceland is probably, but the Faroes are part of Denmark, and Iceland used to be part of Denmark. But he was a person who was kind of a loner. And when I lived in Scandinavia, that was something that was very prideful among many Scandinavians, is that they love their community, but they also love being by themselves and being a loner. And one of the characteristics of St. Thorlak is that he got his strength from those times when things were not going right in his life. Things were, frankly, going the wrong direction. And he found that people, in his experience, which seems kind of an interesting thing for a saint, can become draining and tiring at times. And so he said that he was going to gain his encouragement from readings, prayer, scripture, and the creed, and reciting them by himself. But also, he was involved in his community. He gave, he was generous, he loved, and as he was able to, but he found himself in his aloneness as a way to singly devote his life to the Lord. And so, since then, a lot of people have actually adopted St. Thorlak as possibly someone on the autism spectrum. I have two children that are on that spectrum, and it is one where they like to be together and they're very um, much feel a part of our family, but they also have a way that they have them stand alone or stand off from the rest of us. And part of their comfort is in tradition and in things that are traditional. Now, our scripture today said, "Discipline yourself." And that has been something that I have always tried to rebel against. Even from my youth, I've often wanted the freedom. And Luther, in his name, Eleutherus, wants to talk about the Greek word of freedom. Christ has set you free. And so the irony, some people say, the Lutheran Church is, why do you discipline yourselves with some of those Catholic practices? Your worship service is so formal. And some Lutherans have broken away and they do not worship in the traditional sense of Lutheran worship. But others have found freedom in the discipline of reciting the creed, praying the prayers that are in the hymn book. In fact, even learning hymns that maybe are not as exciting or jazzy, but ones that discipline themselves in their focus on the Lord. And so I'm bringing this all together in our preparation for Christmas because I have found that it is celebrations like Easter and Christmas, and specifically Christmas, where I found that people gain comfort not in their freedom, but in their repetition of traditions and the things that they have done before. This is a very nostalgic time. And it is interesting because it is also some of the, in cases, the most visited of our churches. And they're not looking for necessarily something that is contemporary or jazzy or should I say, popular. They're looking for the things that have given them anchoring, tradition during this time of the year. I still recall when I was still a layperson up in the Twin Cities, and I did attend a very active and exciting worship community. It was not Lutheran, and I was very excited to just participate and visit. But I went on Christmas Eve, and I found myself saying, I got to go to a regular worship service afterwards because it didn't feel right. It didn't sense right. And beyond feelings, it didn't anchor you in the traditions that solidify you in the faith. And so people like St. Thorlak and people of maybe an autistic spectrum disorder remind us that those traditions aren't rigid by any means. They anchor you, they solidify you, and they help you resist the devil, as St. Peter reminds us in these verses today. And so I invite you today to think about those practices, those things that anchor you in the faith. And especially during Christmas when it seems that that is what we yearn for. Holding the candle, singing Silent Night, I hear from so many. Making sure that they have a focus on the Christ child and the manger and the things that hold us in this season. No, there is nothing wrong with being innovative and trying to do new things. But it is also to remind us that we are creatures of habit, and sometimes those habits are bad, but many times they can be good in anchoring us in the faith of Jesus Christ. So I invite you to do that along with Saint Thorlak of Iceland and a lot of other saints like Mary and Joseph and the wise men and the shepherds that we will meet in these next 12 days. God bless you today. We trust that these continue to be words of encouragement. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.